It was supposed to be just another business lunch, one of those quiet, classy meetings where everything stayed perfectly composed. But for Adrian Cole, the powerful CEO of a real estate empire, that afternoon would change everything. Because that day, a struggling young waitress with kind eyes fed his daughter before serving him. And without knowing it, she touched a part of him he had long thought was dead. Adrian had arrived at the elegant seaside cafe in Los Angeles dressed in a crisp white shirt, dark blazer, and the quiet aura of someone used to control. His 6-year-old daughter, Harper, clutched his hand tightly, her little pink backpack bouncing against her knees as she skipped beside him. To the world, Adrian was a man who had everything: money, power, respect. But to those who looked closer, there was something missing behind his calm gray eyes. His wife, Claire, had passed away 3 years ago in a car accident. Since then, Adrian's world had been a carefully constructed wall, built not from stone but from silence. He had promised himself he'd never love again. But that day, fate had different plans. Before we dive deeper, if you believe that kindness and second chances still exist in this world, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Let's keep stories like these alive for hearts that still believe in love after pain. The lunch wasn't meant to be romantic. It was supposed to be a blind date arranged by his friend, more of a just meet someone type of push. The woman he was supposed to meet was late. The sun streamed softly through the large glass windows, the sound of ocean waves blending with the cafe's gentle chatter. Harper sat quietly, her small fingers tracing circles on the table. Adrian ordered an orange juice for her and a black coffee for himself, all while checking his phone for emails. He didn't notice the waitress who approached until she softly spoke. "Good afternoon, sir. Would you like to order now, or wait for your guest?" He looked up, and for a brief second forgot to speak. The waitress was young, maybe 24. Her brown hair was tied up in a messy bun, a few loose strands falling across her cheek. Her uniform was neat but slightly worn, her eyes warm and deep hazel. There was something unguarded in her presence, a gentleness that didn't belong to this rushed world. Her name tag read Maya. "We'll wait," he replied, his tone polite but distant. Maya nodded and turned her gaze toward Harper. "Hey there, sweetheart," she said gently. "You must be hungry. Would you like me to bring you a little something while you wait?" Harper looked up hesitant. "Daddy said we'll wait." Maya smiled softly, crouching slightly so she could meet the child's eyes. "I know, but sometimes waiting feels longer when tummies rumble. I can bring a small plate of fries on the house." Adrian was about to decline, but the light in Harper's eyes stopped him. He nodded faintly. "That's very kind of you. Thank you." A few minutes later, Maya returned with a small plate of golden fries and ketchup shaped into a heart. "For you, princess?" she whispered, setting it down before Harper. Then she turned to Adrian with a simple smile. "And for you, sir, water with lemon. You looked like you needed it." He blinked, surprised. Few people ever noticed when he looked tired. As the meal went on, the date never showed up. The woman texted last minute to cancel, claiming a family emergency. Adrian felt oddly relieved. He had no real desire to open up to anyone. But what he didn't expect was how much Harper began to open up to Maya. Within minutes, the little girl was telling her everything, about her cat, her school, how her mom used to braid her hair before bed. And Maya listened with the patience of someone who truly cared. She knelt by the table, laughing at Harper's stories, her eyes glimmering with emotion when the child spoke about missing her mother. "She must have been very special," Maya said softly. "She was," Harper replied. "But sometimes I think she sends nice people to us instead. Like you." Maya blinked fast, trying to hide the tears threatening to fall. From that moment, Adrian couldn't look away. He had seen countless people show kindness for show, but not like this, not with such quiet sincerity. When the bill came, Maya tried to smile as she handed it over, but Adrian noticed her fingers trembled slightly. Her nails were chipped, her shoes a bit worn. He could tell she was working through exhaustion. And yet, her warmth never dimmed. "Thank you, Maya," he said as he signed the receipt. "You've been wonderful." "It's my job, sir," she replied softly. "But thank you." That night, Adrian couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the waitress who fed his daughter first. A stranger who didn't even know who he was, but somehow saw him in a way no one else had. The next week, Adrian found himself driving back to that cafe under the excuse of craving their coffee. Harper clapped when she saw Maya again, her excitement unfiltered. "Daddy, it's her. Can we sit in her section?" Maya looked surprised, but genuinely happy to see them. Over the next few visits, their interactions grew from polite exchanges to quiet conversations. She learned Adrian was a single dad. He learned she was working 2 jobs to care for her younger brother, Liam, who had special needs. She lived in a tiny apartment near the edge of town and often skipped meals so he could have enough. Still, Maya never complained. "Some people have bigger battles," she said once with a gentle shrug. "I just have to keep showing up." There was something in her voice, a calm resilience that humbled him. For the first time in years, Adrian started to feel again. One sunny afternoon, Harper brought a small handmade card to the cafe. "It's for Maya," she said proudly, handing it over. Inside, the words read, "You make sad days feel warm again." Maya's lips trembled as she read it. She crouched down, hugging Harper tightly. "You don't know how much this means to me, sweet girl," she whispered. Adrian watched them quietly, his heart heavy yet full. He realized then that love doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes, it slips in softly, disguised as kindness. Weeks passed. The bond between them deepened, though neither dared to name it. But life, as always, tested them. One evening, as Adrian was dropping Harper at school, he saw a commotion near the café. The building's landlord was shouting at Maya outside. Her apron was still on, her face pale. When Adrian stepped out to ask what happened, he learned the truth. Maya's rent had skyrocketed, and she couldn't afford to stay. Worse, the cafe had decided to close for renovation, meaning she'd lose her only stable job. "I'll be fine," she said quietly when he approached. Things always find a way to work out, but they didn't. Days later, he found her working in a small diner downtown, exhausted, barely standing on her feet. Harper saw her too and tugged his sleeve. "Daddy," she looked sad. Adrian couldn't bear it. That night, he made a decision that went against everything he had built his walls to protect. He called her employer, arranged something quietly, and returned to the diner the next day. "Maya," he said softly when she came to take his order, "I wanted to offer you something." Her expression turned cautious. "If this is about charity." "It's not," he interrupted gently. "It's a job, a real one. I need someone trustworthy to help take care of Harper when I'm at work. She loves you, and frankly, I trust you too." Her lips parted, speechless. "You're serious?" He nodded. "It's full-time, decent pay. You deserve a break, Maya. Let me give you one." But tears filled her eyes, but she smiled through them. "I don't know what to say." "Just say yes," Harper chirped beside him, hugging her leg. That was the beginning of a new chapter. Over the months that followed, Maya became more than just Harper's caretaker. She became family. She cooked, laughed, and brought light into the once cold mansion. And somewhere between the laughter and quiet dinners, Adrian realized he had fallen in love. But fear held him back. He had lost before, and losing again terrified him. Until one morning, he woke to the sound of Harper's laughter echoing through the halls. He followed the sound and found Maya teaching her to bake pancakes. Flour on their faces, joy everywhere. It was so simple, and yet it was everything. "Maya," he said suddenly, his voice rough. She turned, startled. "You've changed this house. You've changed me." Her eyes softened, but she said nothing. "I thought I'd forgotten how to live after Claire died." He continued, "But you reminded me that love isn't about replacing someone. It's about healing." There were tears in both their eyes now. That afternoon, as the sun streamed through the kitchen window, Adrian took her hand. It was warm, trembling, alive. "Stay," he whispered. "Not just for Harper. Stay for me." Maya's answer came in a quiet smile, one that said more than words ever could. Months later, the three of them walked along the same beach where they had first met. Harper ran ahead, her laughter filling the air as waves kissed the sand. Adrian wrapped an arm around Maya's shoulder, pulling her close. For once, there were no titles, no masks, just two souls who had found home again in the simplest act of kindness.